You there, are you a certified alpha beast, a true giga specimen? Well, I've got just the show for you, with animation that'll blow you away, crazy fights, monster things, the type of shit that'll get you pumped. Hey, stop looking at Gojo.
How is he so fucking hot?
JJK Kaisen, your favorite show that always ends up in your Twitter feed, either spoiling a crucial event, showing off how overpowered a character is, or...
疲れたろ? ういうい、今日はこのまま。
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
On the surface, JJK is about as typical a battle shonen you could ask for. We got our main overzealous protagonist with an inner demon, an edgelord who's just a big old teddy bear, our sarcastic badass girl boss, the hot and overpowered teacher, and some bad dudes who up to no good. Just a general fun time with not too much to think about. This is where most of us were going into season 2. And I heard all these manga readers being like, it gets so good, generational impact on the medium, this is the shonen arc of our generation. And I'm sitting there, I'm about to turn on my TV, I'm like, ain't no way.
領域展開無料空所
My bad, gang. Season 2 of JJK, it's like a fucking truck. This is the type of shit that makes me not trust anime anymore. Haha, look, fun, goofy, slice of life, high school with wizards. This is awesome. Oh. There comes a time with every narrative where things need to take the next leap in the story's progression, and JJK decides to take liftoff like Michael Jordan from the free throw line. On top of that, this season also has the literal souls of every overworked MAPPA employee inked on each fight. It's honestly insane how hard every fight goes this season, and managed to top the incredible action of the first season with an abundance of wacky, cool choreographies that blew up the internet every week. Each fight has such a distinct personality, and it works so well to enhance this new direction the story took. It's unfortunate how harsh the conditions were in making this, and I have nothing but praise for the animators. Hopefully things can improve for their schedules in the future and overall workplace well-being. But besides animation, the craziest part about season 2 of JJK is just how risky it was, especially for a Shonen Jump. As a series, it was pretty formulaic at first glance, with some interesting little spins, but just how much further season 2 went elevated Jujutsu Kaisen to new heights. Something that frequently holds shows back is that they won't have any stakes. For JJK, this is not a problem at all. In fact, I'm convinced this man Gege has no attachment to his characters. Seriously, in this season, bro goes guns blazing, and this is only the start of it. He is not afraid to kill off characters, which can both be a good thing and a bad one. I'd say for the majority of the season, it works. But before we go nut busting about how good Shibuya was, we really gotta talk about the intro arc to this season, the Gojo Past arc. This simple 5-episode storyline was massive for setting up Shibuya. Its gradual transition to a darker tone and contextualizing character backstories were crucial. Filling in the gap of Gojo and Geto's relationship was one of the big tasks this arc had to undertake. Through one mission, we get to understand the importance of their dynamic and just how good of friends they were. They stood as the two strongest, both alone at the top in their respective ways. And that's what makes their bonds so important. That even though they have completely different personalities, they both knew the isolation that came with their strength. This arc has to deal with both establishing their friendship and severing it. This whole situation is specifically heavy for Gojo, who has to go back to being alone at the top after Geto leaves. You understand how much he really cared for his best friend. And like all best friend characters in anime, he becomes evil, and then is possessed by some weird ancient goober. This past arc also has a lot more to offer from its narrative. It progressively adapts a darker tone, even in just the mission that this past trio has to undertake. Their big assignment is to protect a teenage girl who's about to have her whole life stripped away from her to become the vessel for some ascended grandma toad monk. I don't really know how to put that one. Manga readers, you get me. It really is a heartbreaking mission, and it deals with the philosophies of life and death. Riko has to say goodbye to all of her different loved ones just so the Jujutsu world can remain stable. As the main crew spends time protecting her, she also becomes their friend. Now, Gege is really good at making charming characters. Even if they have little screen time, we still have a decent interest in them based on their personalities. Nobody knows shit about Toji, yet everyone's like, fuck yeah, that's my homeboy since day one. Shit, we go like way back. That happens just because of how interesting he is and the actions that he takes. Gege gives us reasons to be invested in what's about to happen with them, and that really helps JJK as a whole, and I'll touch on that a bit more later. But for Riko, she was well built enough to the point where both the audience and this little gang care about her. As a result, her extremely abrupt death hits way harder. This is one of the first times in the series where it feels like a more major character was just stripped of their life. It's almost become such a common trope for an anime death to be a throw-off. In fact, we even have throw-off deaths in this show. Because of that, you kind of sit there disoriented realizing that she's actually dead. More important characters can die, and it's about to happen a lot. This was the real tone shift for the arc, and it led those main characters into the much darker state that they currently reside in. This ending is almost telling everyone that yeah, this world has an extremely dark core, and this series isn't what you may have thought it was. We're finally getting to that point of no return. The real risky shit, the Shibuya arc. Do you have a favorite character? Fuck them, they're probably dead, or they lost an arm, or an eye. Woo! He's dead, she's dead, they're dead, them too, he dies again, and damn. His shit hurts. Gega's body count of his own characters goes crazy. He'll make you squeal and then teabag on your trauma-riddled mind. He don't give a shit. Whatever he wants to do, he does. And it's because of that very fact that makes the Shibuya arc so risky. The point of no return is a staple for an abundance of anime, even in any show. It's the point where the world takes on a different look that uncovers a new road for our main heroes. Typically, most weekly Shonen Jump series play things safe and by the book, meaning that they will take their time to steadily build up this climax of action that is about to shift everything. You get time to spend with all these characters through different arcs, and you develop an emotional attachment to them. Finally, this point of no return happens, cued by a major event or a time skip of sorts. With JJK, the Shibuya incident is only the 7th arc, and most of the early arcs aren't that long. 30 episodes into a Shonen Jump, and things have already begun to take this dive in the deep end. JJK literally told all these other series and their basic formulas, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. Now, without the hundreds of episodes or chapters of build-up, we get to this tone shifter that kills off characters and leaves the world in a completely different state. JJK did not need to do this. JJK already had a massive following, and making such a drastic alteration to the story could have risked the loss of a lot of fans. It could have easily taken the basic path with a lot of sales and a mediocre to subpar story, but it didn't, which I think was a really important decision to make. So why does the Shibuya incident work? Should go kabam. Here we have a situation that poses danger to everyone and everything. As a result of all of this chaos, things become a lot less predictable. We don't know who will die or what will become of the world. We get this brief period of complete uncertainty for every character, and as the audience, we're caught off guard. Though strangely enough, it doesn't exactly feel forced. Yes, it happened quickly relative to the story, but it was built up between the previous arcs. For one, when we look at it, the Jujutsu world is being held together by some masking tape in the form of one blue-eyed individual. Seriously, just because this guy is the strongest and no one can beat him, they're safe. So our main villain, the Krang, is like, what if we throw a Pokeball at him? Yeah, man, that man's a genius. Give him an award. Give him the Nobel Prize. It really is such a basic concept to seal someone, but it's pretty smart, and it was Kenjuku's plan from the start of the series to get Gojo out of the way. The method he uses for the plan also makes sense. He tugs at Gojo's humanity, both his desire to protect other people and his connection to others. So, finally, when he does get sealed after protecting some civilians, it's because he sees his dead best friend standing right there before him. It's a realistic reaction for him to be stunned like that, and then he gets sealed. That past arc really helps us to understand all of the emotions going through him when he sees Geto's body again. So now we have a world that's up in flames because the strongest dude has been sealed. People are getting killed off left, right, and center. That kind of leads into one of my main complaints for this series, being that I would have liked there to be more build-up for certain characters before they were sent off. Oh yeah, the One Piece fan wants more episodes, shocker! But honestly, at times, I felt like there were certain deaths that just felt like they were there for the sake of shock value, and I think fitting in an extra arc would have aided some of those emotional moments. However, JJK still manages to utilize that lack of screen time alongside the character charm to make things work. Because of how early this is happening in the story, we still want to see certain characters progress to the finish line. We've already internally established what characters we like, so now that there's an actual threat towards them, there becomes more of an incentive to keep watching. Now we are getting more invested in that finish line because you almost need to know who's gonna make it out, and that really works to help people remain focused on the plot in the midst of all this action. On top of that, the characters who do make it out of the arc are now burdened by the magnitude of the event. Itadori literally blew up everything as Sukuna and witnessed one of his best friends die in front of him, alongside a ton of other people who were extremely important. This arc ends off leaving him in a completely different state. He feels guilt just by living because of what happened. And I'll say, not too many shonen protags go in this direction. Again, Itadori is not the only one. Everyone who makes it out of this arc is permanently scarred, figuratively and literally. Now, let's take a step back. Is this season a certified masterpiece? No. Is it anime of the year? Not for me. I still have Vinland Saga as #1. There are flaws with JJK as a whole, one being the fact that they say curse technique way too much, like please, make some new terms so you're not just repeating yourself. I swear, sometimes I hear these guys say curse technique and my brain just shits itself. Anyway, it may not be this insane character drama with revolutionary ideas in anime, but it sticks the landing and is a breath of fresh air in comparison to what's out there. It leads the series into a different direction that I for one am looking forward to. This was one of the best anime in the last year and it deserves its praise. Okay, time to read the manga. They won't kill off everyone, right? Right, baby? Uh-oh.